How did Citizen Kane become a descriptor? How did it become an adjective within the common English vernacular for something of great cultural significance and merit? It did it by being the best film ever made. The story is presented non-chronologically and from multiple perspectives. It is in a sense epic. The sets are extravagant, the acting fantastic, the music gorgeous, and the makeup, for the time, was revolutionary. What really set it apart though? The cinematography. I could do a full analysis into each of these reasons just listed and convince you this movie is great. But I'm going to tell you about its cinematography and show you why it's legendary. Let's start with this scene. I chose this scene because it's a great example of how the film establishes depth. Even modern movies aren't able to capture this sense of dimension. To capture this image, Welles used a technique called deep focus photography. Essentially, it means that the camera used a small aperture so that the foreground, midground, and background are all in focus, giving the image a greater sense of three-dimensional space. You'll notice how both Kane and Jedediah are in focus in the shot, even though they're on different planes of depth. The technique is also used here and here. These scenes stand out because it's a technique that's rarely used today. Modern directors want to guide the attention of the audience, so they'll typically employ a shallow focus, a technique that compresses the focus in an image to a single-dimensional plane, either foreground, midground, or background. In this scene from The Dark Knight, you can notice how the background is a blur of the crowd, while Rachel and the Joker, both in the forefront, are in focus. Welles uses deep focus so that the image can have multiple points of focus. I think this was a better choice for the film because it helps it stand out visually and complements the film's rewatchability. But back to the original scene. Notice how Kane is so close up in the foreground that he dominates the left third, almost left half of the screen, while Jedediah, technically standing over Kane, barely takes up half the space Kane does. It establishes mental positioning for the characters. Even though Jedediah is standing over, looking down on Kane, because Kane takes up so much of the screen, it doesn't matter. Kane is in control. In the previous scene, lighting was used to convey how Kane's character has become corrupted by power. But this scene shows the conclusion of that corruption. In the previous scene, lighting was used to convey how Kane's character had been corrupted by power. But this scene shows the conclusion to that corruption. Kane is awash in shadow, representative of a realization of his character. Kane has always been able to buy what he wants. Nothing has ever had a price tag too large, but being confronted by the fact that he can't buy love, he realizes the dark isolation he has put himself. Kane has allowed himself to be wholly consumed by his greed and power, preventing him from ever having a true and genuine human connection. And it's great. It is cinematography being used to convey themes and storytelling. It's a movie that uses all the tools of the craft and uses them in a way never before thought. Citizen Kane is so great because it embodies everything that a film can be. It's brave, it's bold, and it's willing to experiment and try new things. It's willing to take a risk knowing that it might not work, but not care if it fails. It takes all the preconceived notions of what a film is and can be and ignores them. What this results in is a film that is truly and entirely innovative. No, that's not a strong enough word for it. Citizen Kane is, without being hyperbolic, revolutionary to the film industry. It revolutionized, as in to rapidly change, how films were made. Citizen Kane is what Star Wars was to science fiction, or what Jurassic Park was to digital effects, or what Toy Story was to animation. It is a clear point in time in which the craft of filmmaking is fundamentally different, because the world has seen a fundamentally different way for it to be made. So what does this mean? It means that Citizen Kane isn't just a great movie, or a legendary movie. It is the Citizen Kane of movies.